Artificial intelligence actually help us to imbue a program, either a program, a project in form of technology that will help us achieve success, become more efficient in any of our operation, whether in farm. Because I noticed there's a kind of an AI instrument that I noticed, I watched in a video where you see that AI is being used in collaboration with technology, solar technology, to scare off animals that normally attack the farm. It will blow bugle, make different sound, even release a gunshot sound. But these are not real gunshots. But when maybe a monkey or that attack maize, that harvest maize and all that came to that very farm, you will censor that very monkey and begin to make those or birds are perching on the crops. So it will sense them and begin to make those sound, and they will scare them away and they will never come to those farms. It goes away to show that AI and technology is a hallmark of our development. It's very going to enhance our development. But the only caution is that we need as well to protect the human race, protect the human privacy, protect.
Okay, so we've been having some technical glitch, so apologies for that, but we're back right now. Two nurses with me from the ENUGU campus. They are doing the 29th Health Day, and apparently it is one important day because they have chosen a topic that all women should actually look out for. They're also having a reach out to communities across ENUGU State. I understand that they're going to be meeting with a lot of women, teaching them the importance of breastfeeding. But one would wonder really, beyond the community that they are going to, because these people are located in the rural areas, there are people who are in town who really don't care about breastfeeding. What do you say to them? How do you advise them to note that this is important?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say something. We're not just going there for the women, because you cannot talk about breastfeeding without the father. So the women always need support from their husband. So you find out that a woman who breastfeeds their baby properly, regularly, will always have the support of the man behind her, because it is not easy. And for the women who are well educated but shy away from breastfeeding, we just have to keep on talking about it, because you just have to keep on talking about it, telling them, encouraging them, educating them. Breastfeeding will help in the cognitive development of your child. I mean, who doesn't want their child to be smart? So we'll keep on talking about it. That's why even in school, we talk about it all day long. So we'll just keep on saying the benefits and encouraging mothers. They don't have any reason not to breastfeed. There is no reason not to breastfeed. If you are running away from your breast being sagged, it will definitely sag one day. I mean, when the time comes, you will see it the way it is. So when it's for breastfeeding, I think you should consider your child first before the way you look or the way you want to look. So, because most of the times, these educated women is because of their appearance. I don't want my husband to leave me, or I don't want my husband to leave me and be carrying a young girl that their breasts are still standing. But you're not thinking about your child. You're not thinking about how the person is going to, what the breast milk is going to do for the child, how the breast milk is going to form the brain, because it will help to develop the child's brain. So these are the things that they need to consider and rethink about breastfeeding their child. So we just have to keep on talking about it.
What is the significant difference of a child who was breastfed at least exclusively for 6 months and the one who was mildly breastfed or maybe never really did?
Okay, I think that's exclusive breastfeeding and complementary breastfeeding. The exclusive breastfeeding is giving your child only breast milk for 6 months, while the complementary one is you can complement other food with the breastfeeding. Healthcare supports exclusive breastfeeding for every woman that can do this because, like we said before, that breast milk is enough food for the child. You don't have to add any other thing at that tender age because you don't want to give the child too much nutrients that the child become very fat, obese. Because weight is adding. You don't want the child to become obese because once the child becomes obese, he's also exposed to other diseases that are germs into the child's body because we cannot assure of how you prepare this food. It's not what you, because we might eat something as adults and we are okay, but once a child eats that food, you might think you are so, like, you might think you prepared it in a very clean environment and all of that. They can come down with diarrhea and stuff like that. So that's the difference. And also, like we said before, the breast milk, the complementary breastfeeding can give the child excessive protein which they don't need. This breast milk have a specific quantity of protein, a specific quantity of lactose, which is carbohydrates, a specific quantity of every nutrients that this child needs. So we don't want to give this child excessive nutrients.
Does it have any adverse effects as they grow up or when they become adults? Is there something you could tell to say, okay, just like the example that you gave, that when somebody behaves in a certain way in the society, you say, are you sure you even... So what is that thing that you see in somebody that you say, maybe this person wasn't even breastfed properly?
Okay, apart from the cognitive... I'm not saying that a child that was not breastfed will not have... Please get me right. Definitely this person will have... They will have developed mentality and all of that. But we are just saying that the exclusive breastfeeding will help the child to have a smarter, like... there is a difference between this child is this age and he's supposed to be understanding this thing, but he's not understanding it. It does not mean that he does not have sense, like, or he does not have mentality. But this child is this age, he's supposed to have been doing this. It's called milestone. A child that is supposed to have been walking that is not walking, it could be because of what he was fed. A child that is supposed to have been crawling but he's not crawling, it could be because of what he has been fed before. So it could be the adverse effects. And even before that, there is something that is called what's it called? Sudden infant death syndrome. Is common among children that are below 5, from age 5. So let's say, right? So this child will not have to be fighting with infection and all of that. But when we begin to introduce other feed to this child's body, it might cause this child to have infection, and it can even lead to death. It can lead to respiratory distress. Like we talked about obesity, this child will become obese. Obesity is not good for anybody. It's not all about my child she's eating well. The child have to be in the normal range of weight that he's supposed to be for their age mates. There's a normal, So I think that's the adverse effects: the obesity, the sudden infant death, the respiratory distress,
All right. So we have now tried to speak through to some of these issues because it's one person, sometimes by two persons. Sometimes the husband is not even aware of some of these things. You want to extend this communication to husbands, but how much of knowledge do you think the man should have, especially in things like this? Because a man can also direct the wife to do the breastfeeding if she refuses or if she doesn't want to because of her own personal conviction of the fact that all of these things that people have said is actually false. Do you think that the man also requires this knowledge, and to what extent, and how much of that knowledge do you think that he seeks?
That is why I said that you can't talk about breastfeeding and leave the man outside of that topic. The wife and the husband, they work hand in hand to ensure that the baby is properly breastfed, because there's no particular time to feed a newborn. You constantly, even when the baby is sleeping, you will tap the baby and you will feed the baby. So at least 12 times in 24 hours. So the father, of course, is needed for this to happen. Okay, so the mother needs the support of the man. So whenever we are talking about breastfeeding, we always involve the men because their support is needed for there to be a successful, exclusive breastfeeding. Their support is needed. You will also teach them the benefit of exclusively breastfeeding a child, so that when the woman does not want to, he will encourage her. And when the woman wants to breastfeed, the husband will also encourage her. So sometimes, my brother's wife, when I stayed with her, when she put to bed, in the night she doesn't sleep because the baby is usually awake in the night. And they're always breastfeeding the baby in the night. So when I enter the room, I usually see my brother carrying the baby. So it's like that. You have to bring the men to involve. They have to be involved because their support is also needed. When it's time for the woman, because during these periods, it's as if the woman's life have been taken away from her. So the husband is needed to encourage her because those periods, a lot of things that she will be doing, she won't be able to do them again because the baby is the most important at that time. So now who takes care of the woman? It's the husband. When she's taking care of the baby, the husband is taking care of her. So men also need all the 100% education on breastfeeding. We don't leave them out. When we have a component of public health that we call maternal and child health, it has to do with family planning and also this exclusive breastfeeding. We carry the men along. We don't leave them behind because their support is what keeps the women going.
Support is key. Very,
Yes,
very important. Maybe this is practically unrelated, but let me ask you people this, especially as it relates to our health services. I heard that most of you are doing what you're doing in order for you to, at the end of the day, leave the country. The Japa syndrome has hit the health sector and it's becoming really bad. Sources say that more than 90% of persons who are in your sector, the nursing sector, have already thought about leaving the country to practice. Let's start from you. Is that true, and why is that?
I can't say if it's true because I will only talk about my own self. I don't know what is in the mind of others.
But have you thought about leaving the country?
Yes, I've thought about leaving the country, but still, Nigeria is my country, right? If the opportunity comes for me to leave, I will definitely leave, right? But if not, why will I leave my country and patronize others? I have to nurture people in my country, give them nursing care. They need the nursing care, so. Yeah.
They need a nursing care
Yes.
up to the extent of the fact that if the opportunity comes, you have to leave.
Yes, because they say something that if I know that the system might not be very right in the country, right? But they say that sorry, my voice. That if you want to change the system, you have to leave that system.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you want to change it, if you want to bring change to a system, you have to leave that system. You don't have to work under that, work with everything they do. So I might have to leave to get something for Nigeria.
But I thought you just said that this is your country, that you will not
It's
be.
my country. I work for my country.
Okay.
But then if the opportunity comes, who am I to say no?
What about you? The same thing with you? Have you thought about leaving the country when you're done?
Of course, I've thought about it, but I also want to say that I don't like the fact that Nigerians, we don't appreciate nurses enough.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's the reason why most people that's why the Japa syndrome. And it's not just for nurses, if you can tell. Because there are also people who are not nurses, but they want to Japa too. So, but for nurses, Nigerians don't appreciate nurses enough. Because when you come to the healthcare system, nurses are the first line of action between the patients. But they don't treat nurses like they are that important. And if they start to look into it and give nursing the accolades that it deserves, I think more people would stay back in Nigeria than leave. Personally, for me, I've always wanted to practice in Nigeria. I mean, even if I was going to leave, I always wanted to practice in Nigeria. But it pains me that with all the efforts that we put into these healthcare systems, we are not being appreciated the way that we should. Because I go to the hospitals and it is nurses that stay with the patients 24 hours. When you go to any ward, because we've worked in the hospitals, like the general hospitals. So when you come to a particular ward, you see that before a patient says anything, they don't say doctor. What they say is no, so. Yeah. Do you get? When there is an emergency, what they usually scream is no, so, no, so. Even if like they actually need a doctor, they usually call out for a nurse first. But when it's time to appreciate these nurses, they appreciate the other people around first. And then they now treat nurses like nursing is just a common thing. But I'm praying to God and hoping that my generation will change the narrative. Because if we are able to do so, there will be less people to leave the country than more of the Japa syndrome.
Yeah.
So for you, it's all about appreciating the nurses. But who doesn't appreciate the nurses, though?
I mean, the pay for the nurses is not encouraging.
Okay.
It's not encouraging. So if something can be done about it, I mean, we all want to, you wouldn't want to do something and, you know, you're supposed to receive a thank you and then the person just tells you, I mean, you're supposed to do that. Is it not your work? Are you not supposed to do it? So if there's a way that, you know, they will recognize nurses in Nigeria and, you know, put us in the rank that we deserve, there won't be much need to leave this country. So many nurses would rather stay back than leave.
So some of the persons who have left, what did they say? What were the reasons?
It's still the same.
What you just said.
It's still the same reason that we're talking about. Because when you leave, they pay them, they appreciate them higher, they pay them higher, and they recognize them higher. Like nursing is one of the best profession in the whole world. But here in Nigeria, nursing is one of the commonest profession in Nigeria. So I think that's the reason why, personally, if I was going to leave the country, that would be the reason why I would leave. But
you would if you have the opportunity.
I mean, but I want to practice. And I'm going to practice. Even if I want to leave the country, I want to practice, and I'm going to practice in Nigeria.
I mean, you can practice elsewhere and get paid for it. I've already seen the disdain on your face with the way you spoke about how nurses are treated badly in Nigeria. So,
but then we're not going to leave these people because they are also depending on us, you know. So sometimes we don't do it because of how they treat nurses. We do it because of what nursing entails. So I might want to leave, but I might also want to stay back and take care of people, because obviously who will take care of them if all of us Japa now? Well,
it's interesting. There's a fine way to live it. But let me come to you, Letitia, on your final note, to just rehash what you guys would do on your 29th Health Day program that the institution is doing. Just tell us what exactly is going to do, what you guys are going to do, what your engagement will be like, the importance of it, and then what it intends to achieve at the end of the day.
Okay. For 29th Annual Health Day, that is coming up on Wednesday, which is the 14th, tomorrow, and it's holding at ENUGU East
Local Government
Center, right? Headquarter. Thank you. So on that day, we are going to start with medical outreach. The medical outreach, we need the community to come out, because we have to do outreach for the community. The doctors that are coming, the dentists that are coming, the nursing care, the optometrists that are coming is for the community, right? So we need them to be present so that we can see them, we can give them medications, we can do all the necessary things that we have planned to do, like the dentists coming, they will wash, do
scaling and
polishing, yes. Then the optometrists that are coming. So, and we also have the consultants. So they have the opportunity to meet these people and receive that care from them. Then free of charge, Then after that section, we'll now go into the events of the day. The events, we'll be having guests, our school lecturers and the dignitaries in our school will be attending. Then the community members are also there, and the nursing students, which are us from our different health centers. And we also have delegates from the different health centers that we have gone to during this our period of posting. They will also be present on tomorrow. Then we have entertainment for the people, we have refreshments for the people, we have health talk for the people, we have drama for the people, and we also have cake to cut.
Oh, interesting. All right.
And we also have dance,
We
like
also have dance. We are
we are dancing ourselves, like we the students. We are going to, all these entertainments will be done by us, all of us, the 400 level students of University of Nigeria's ENUGU campus. So we are all going to be performing this drama, the health talk, the dance. We are
prepared for the events. So we want the community to be present because we are doing it for them, for the community.
Does look like a dancing competition for people to come and watch, you know. But it's all good. I mean, it's all good. I love what you both are doing. I love what the school is also doing. So we look forward to it. I'm sure that we're going to come through to cover it. So I want to say a very big thank you to both of you, Miracle and of course Letitia, both from the ENUGU campus of the University of Nigeria, giving us an insight into what the importance is of what they're doing as they head on to tomorrow's program, which is the 29th edition of the Health Day of the University of Nigeria ENUGU campus. Charles Pius is my name. I want to appreciate every one of you for being part of today's broadcast. And I'm connecting you to the Abuja studios for the continuation of the morning show. Good morning.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday.
in your pocket.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is still the morning show here on Signature TV. And recently, I don't know, for those who are into football, I know there are millions of people who are really good with football when it comes to sports. Recently, FIFA changed the rule a little bit. I mean, every now and then we see some of these rules being changed. Amongst this interesting change of rules was actually one that is quite significant. I know sometimes when we watch soccer, especially if you are on the losing side, and when the other side that is winning have its goalkeeper do some wasting of time, this thing can really be painful, especially for those who are losing. I know you know that it's truly the goalkeeper is doing what they could do to keep wasting the time. But the FIFA right now is out and stating clearly that they would not take that particular waste of time by goalkeeper anymore. What they would do is to find a way of punishing the goalkeeper or the team that has embarked on this style of wasting time. And they say that henceforth, that if a goalkeeper holds onto the ball beyond 8 seconds, that he would concede a corner kick. That's an interesting one, right? Anyways, we have a guest via Zoom this morning who will talk a little bit about this development. His name is Mr. Tony Ademode. He's a sports journalist all the way from Abia State, I guess. Good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Tony, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Charles. Good to be here on Signature TV this morning on the Signature Morning Show. Good morning to you.
Good morning. So, Tony, tell us a little bit about this development. What has prompted this change in rule? And I understand that when a goalkeeper holds football much more than 6 seconds or 7 seconds or so, there is an indirect free kick that is given. But then right now the rule is about to change because they say from next season it's going to be considering a corner kick. Why the change in rule? Why is it important to football?
Well, Charles, you know, football is all about, you know, the rules. The rules dictate what happens, you know, when it comes to football. And this new rule by the International, of course, International Football Association Board, IFAB, during their 139th annual meeting that was held in Belfast, Northern Ireland, they decided to come together to, you know, look at some, you know, situations in football that has sometimes, you know, given opportunities to the opposing teams to get some advantage. And one of such rules is the new rule that IFAB put up, you know, during their 139th General Assembly that was held on the 1st of this month, right there in Belfast. And the law actually previously stated that the goalkeeper had 6 seconds to release the ball before the opposing team is awarded an indirect free kick. But now that was really enforced by the officials. And IFAB now is saying that, you know, for this to happen, they are looking at ensuring that a whole lot will be looked at. People will have to understand that those laws, you know, have come to stay. So what it means is that every goalkeeper that holds the ball in less than, you know, with more than 8 minutes, will have to, you know, the referee will have to award a corner kick to the opposing team. So what it means is that goalkeepers now have just 6 seconds to hold the ball, and the referee would have to raise his hands up, you know, while you know, counting down to 8 seconds. And if he gets to 8 seconds and the goalkeeper has not released the ball, that means he's going to award, you know, a corner kick to the opposing team. And I think for me, this is really, really good because most times we've seen goalkeepers take this as an advantage, to delay, especially if the team is winning. You see goalkeepers sometimes, a goal kick that should have been kicked away for the ball to restart. You see goalkeepers most times delay, and sometimes, it gives advantage to maybe the winning side. So IFAB is also looking at all these things. And not just that, they also came up with a couple of other rules as well, where they did talk about the fact that it is only the captain of the team that has the right, to talk to a referee. It is only the captain of the team that can walk up to the referee, when there's a situation, not the other players running out to the referee, because the IFAB is saying that these are the things that they have to, look at. So for me, I think it's a good one, Charles. Change is constant. And I think they have actually proposed also that they will be looking at other rules as well, trying to, bring in a couple of other rules that would help the rounded game of football. So I think it's a good one. So goalkeepers would not have to waste more than 6 seconds, because if the referee looks at his time, raises his hand up, brings it down, and he gets up to 8 seconds, then it's going to be corner kick awarded to the opposing team.
All right. Tony, it seems your hand is a little bit shaky. Maybe you could find a way of maybe putting it very, very stable a little bit so that we could see your face. But so many persons think that this rule, is it the only thing that is facing football right now? There are a lot of people who still feel that the VAR hasn't been perfected. There are some football matches that even the VAR, would fail or would even fail in its disbursement of its duties, because again, everybody wants something accurate. And the reason why the introduction of the VAR, would have been to get things accurately done. Do you also share that sentiment? And how do you think football can be bettered with, the VAR going forward? Because again, there are other people who have said VAR isn't even it makes it animated, that should be a measure of humanness, in all of our dealings, especially as it concerns football. That it becomes a little bit animated if there's a video assistant referee going forward. What do you make of this?
Well, Charles, since the introduction of the VAR, it's been arguments here and there. Some people feel the VAR has come to change the narratives as far as football is concerned. But others also feel that, teams have also benefited from most VAR decisions. Before now, me personally, I feel that the VAR maybe have taken away a little bit of the natural feeling of, watching football. Sometimes some of these decisions done by these referees, sometimes actually take away the shine of the game. Take, for instance, a team is trying to attack, to score a goal, and all of a sudden maybe a goal is being scored and the VAR spots it as an offside. Sometimes some of those decisions, don't really go well with some of these things. So for me, I think VAR has actually has come to stay. There's people who still talk about it. It's going to be argued and argued and argued. But I feel that these are just some of the options that FIFA is looking at. And still talking about the IFAB, laws, they also during that meeting, they talk about how they will actually help some of the video assistant referee, the VAR. Now, what it means is that, for instance, if there is a lengthy time taking for the VAR to decide on a particular incident, now, after that meeting, IFAB did say that the center referee can now decide personally, not even when the VAR must have taken their decision, that the center referee can decide and say, this is his decision. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out, when this laws is, is being implemented. But for me, I just feel that the video assistant referee, has benefited a couple of teams. Some teams have benefited so much across Europe. And of course, some teams have actually, felt the bad side of it. So for me, it's just one of those innovations that FIFA is trying to look into. I'm sure in the coming years, we're even going to have more laws that will be, that will be introduced into football. So I think VAR is a good thing, in as much as a couple of persons may want to disagree that VAR has actually taken away the natural state, the natural feeling of these football games while we watch them on TV. So I think for me, VAR is not a bad one, especially when they get it right. Most times we've also seen the video assistant referees, try to review and review, take a whole lot of time, and sometimes even the VAR too, most times also makes mistakes. So these things are, you can't rule out that human error, in these things. After all, the computer is being manned by a human, so definitely we'll always have, little of this errors here and there. But in general, I think the video assistant referee, the introduction of the VAR has actually helped, football in the world.
All right, so back to the FIFA rule for goalkeepers. I understand that it's for you a welcome development, but I'm just thinking to myself, for a goalkeeper that really wants to waste time, I mean, because again, we know that the opposing side would always be the ones to protest when they are losing. So I would think that maybe there will be other rules that would also be in effect so that it would reduce to maybe 4 seconds. Because again, what are you keeping the ball for? If it's a goal kick, you are either kicking it out, or if you just caught the ball, you are also throwing it out. So don't you think that 8 seconds is too long?
With you, but some of these rules would keep changing. Well, it's actually it hasn't come in place just yet. There's also a possibility that people can argue about this, a situation whereby maybe clubs in the various football federations all over the world could decide and say, hey, IFAB or FIFA, this rule, instead of the 8 seconds like you rightly stated, it should be taken to maybe 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Like you said, yes, Charles, I think I agree, because goalkeepers can decide to waste time, even without holding on to the ball. Take, for instance, maybe a goalkeeper, makes an aerial battle, or maybe a corner kick was taken and a goalkeeper tries to, get the ball.
Okay, Tony, can you hear me? Okay.
And maybe he gets the ball, get down on the, and he even can do. There are a whole lot of, if I think this is the only way to go, I just feel
Tony. Tony Ademode right there, giving us an insight into the new FIFA rule. It's unfortunate that the later part of that discussion we didn't really hear what he says. But again, you can catch up with this discussion again on our YouTube channel a little later today. We're back shortly after this. Just stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News.
artificial intelligence actually help us to inbuild a program, either a program, a project in form of technology that will help us achieve success, become more efficient in any of our operation, whether in farm, because I noticed there's a kind of an AI instrument that I noticed, I watched in a video where you see that AI is being used in collaboration with technology, solar technology, to scare off animals that normally attack the farm. You know, it will blow bugle, make different sound, you know, even release a gunshot sound. And but these are not real gunshots. But when maybe a monkey or that attack maize, that harvest maize and all that came to that very farm, you will censor that very monkey and begin to make those or birds are perching on the crops, so it will sense them and begin to make those sound, and they will scare them away and they will never come to those farms. It's also is goes a way to show that AI and technology is a hallmark of our development. It's very going to enhance our development, but the only caution is that we need as well to protect the human race, protect the human privacy, protect, while we are implementing the AI and technology in any spheres of life. So if we must grow, we must go with technology, we must go with AI. That's the current thing about it.
Artificial intelligence, it's come to stay, right? Whether you like it or not, it's really helping drive a lot of sectors, technology, medicine, agriculture, and all that. So it's something that has come to stay. And the only reservation that we have about it is that it's going to take a lot of valid jobs from humans, right? And I think that's the only concern. But you wouldn't compare the benefits, right? Because globally, AI drives the economy. It drives virtually everything that we do, and so it's a win. It's a global win.
Yeah, when I was in school, sourcing was not in our own tongue. So we don't have it, anything like AI, we don't have it there. We use books, we go to library, you make research. So then there's nothing like AI. You have negative balance in some individuals, because sometimes students, especially students, they don't really think again. They just type in whatever they want to get. They just get the answer without stressing their brain. So for me, AI is not good for these recent children.
AI is good. It will make you not to be going around, going to library, searching for, as in looking for research. Immediately you open your phone, you will see everything. So for me, it's okay. I'm in secondary school. Anytime they told you to research for any subject, you'll be going around looking for where to get it. But now you open your phone and everything will be open. So I'm happy. It's good for me.
Actually, I've not used AI before, but according to people that are using it, they say it's good for them.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Full Day, your late night show on Signature TV. I'm Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. Tonight on our program, we'll be featuring a number of guests. Our first guest tonight is Father Stan Chu Ilo, who is a research professor of ecclesiology, world Catholicism, and intercultural theology at the DePaul University in Chicago, United States of America. He will be taking us through what happened at the burial of the Pope, what to expect from the conclave, and the future of the Catholic Church in Africa. Also tonight, we'll be looking at service, and our guest is Alan Ntambi, past District Rotaract representative. He's already in the studio and getting ready to speak with us later on the program. We have these and more on your late night show, Full Day.
Don't go away. And joining us from the United States of America is a research professor, ecclesiology, World Catholicism, and African Studies Center for World Catholicism and Intercultural Theology at the DePaul University in Chicago, Father Stan Chu Ilo. Father Stan, glad to have you on Full Day. Can you hear me, Father Stan?
Yes, I can.
Oh, thank God you're able to join us. Father Stan, you did a lot of work in the Vatican while Pope Francis was alive, and you had written so much on some of the things that happen at the Vatican, especially the relationship between the Vatican and the African Church. But first of all, tell me how you felt when you saw the entire world come to a standstill at the burial of Pope Francis.
Thank you very much, Vin. It's so good to be here. I think that the global outpouring of love, emotion for Pope Francis is, for me, a vindication of what he represented, because I have never seen a pope that had faced so much internal criticism as well as external criticism. You know, many people fail to understand that this man was a prophet who saw tomorrow, who understood clearly that the Catholic Church, and indeed all religious systems and institutions at this present time in human history, we are all being called to become healers, bandaging wounds, extending a hand of friendship to lift those who are down up, and to create and build bridges of friendship. So these are the things that Jesus lived. These are also the things that Pope Francis embodied in his own humble and simple way. But like he constantly said, let us make a mess. Let us move and shake the system so that people can wake up from their slumber and see the sea of suffering humanity that is in need of healing. That's why constantly at the beginning, indeed, of his papacy, he called the world and the church to what he calls a revolution of tenderness. And that revolution of tenderness is about bandaging wounds by extending the love and kindness of God. It is not about watering down the faith. Actually, Pope Francis never changed any single Catholic doctrine, as some of his detractors have charged against him. But he said the church is not just about the logic of law, but rather the logic of love. So that outpouring, seeing so many people from all over the world, seeing thousands of people, they have never seen anything like that in Rome. I think the last time that Rome's street were lined up to welcome or say goodbye to a pope will go back into the late 18th century, Pope Pius VI, you know, who had died in violence, and then he had to be brought back by Pope Pius VII because of the crisis of the papacy at that time. So this was a vindication of a life well lived, and that the message of Pope Francis is a message that resonated with many people across the world, you know, across religions, across races, across nations. He indeed was, like many people have said, a pope of the world and a pope of the poor.
This was a man who tried to remove all the ostentatious things that had to come with the papacy, with the position of being pope. And he did a lot of ordinary things. I was just watching a report sometime this morning where I found out that Pope Francis called a Catholic church in Gaza in the last 1 year or more. He called them every night at 8 o'clock. Every night at 8 o'clock, calling them for the last time on Saturday, 2 days before his death on Easter Monday. Was this, part of that people's pope that Pope Francis had become over these years?
Yes, and I would think also that he did not just become this way when he became a pope. This has been the way he lived his life. One of the most important documents produced in the Catholic Church in Latin America is the Aparecida document, authored by Pope Francis, that emphasized what in ordinary term you will call theology of the people. That is, that it is us, not just a few of us, but all of the people. I mean, some will accuse him of being a Peronist, that populist government in Argentina that was revolutionary in trying to focus both the socio-economic programs and policies on the people. But for Pope Francis, what he did, calling Holy Trinity Church, the people in Gaza every day, was typical. Pope Francis, as many of you will remember, that on Holy Thursday, the last visit he made outside of the Vatican was to a prison. He had no energy, but he insisted on going to be with the prisoners. And while he was leaving, the journalists were asking him questions. Why do you keep on coming here? He said, every time I come here, I ask the good Lord, why them and not me? And Pope Francis has been anti-war. He has proclaimed in several of his messages the gospel non-violence, that the future of the world cannot be built on violence, killing people, destroying people, and building arms and ammunition. So he says, when thousands of people are drowning in the Mediterranean, the stock exchange does not go down. But when some people lose millions, then the stock exchange will go down. They are human beings, like he said. When I stand before a person, I'm standing on holy ground. Therefore, what was going on and what is still going on in Gaza, you remember also that 2 years ago, Pope Francis cried about the war in the killings in Ukraine. When the first visit he went outside once he became a pope was to Lampedusa, where he wept and threw flowers into the Mediterranean as he bemoaned thousands of many people from Africa, from Syria, the Middle East, the rest of the Middle East, and other parts of the world who are drowning in the Mediterranean, migrants who have lost their way. So he has a particular love for people who are, as he normally says, at the existential peripheries of life. That's the mission that he sent some of us to meet those people who are seldomly heard from in the church. Prisoners, the elderly, people who are in detention camps, migrants, LGBTQ community members, people who have left the church, who have left the priesthood or the religious life. And for him, it's not about endorsing any lifestyle. People misunderstand him. He says 2 years ago, and that resonates with me constantly, during the World Youth Day in Lisbon, Portugal, on exactly August the 3rd, 2023, at a speech he gave to young people. He used the word 3 times. todos, todos, todos. That is saying all of us, all of us, all of us. And he asked the young people to repeat after him, all of us, that the church is for all of us. And the church is a home for all of us because God knows each person, he says, by name. And he asked them, say again, God knows you by name. What is he doing? It is saying clearly, every human being is a child of God. What you do is also important, but first of all is to recognize that whether you are good or bad, whether you are young or old, whatever your socioeconomic status, that human beings should not just be expendable, but rather should be prized.
Okay, Father Stan, if you can hear me, let's just conclude our conversation with some insight on what you think will happen to all the initiatives that this late Pope had taken to bring the Catholic Church closer to places where people felt distant from the Catholic Church, especially his initiatives in Africa. Do you think that when we have a new Pope, that there's a tendency that this new Pope will continue on some of those initiatives that Pope Francis had initiated?
I think so, because one of the most, I think, enduring legacies of Pope Francis was the extensive consultation of all the Catholic faithful throughout the world between 2021 and last year, 2024, the Synod on Synodality. And that Synod on Synodality produced a very important document. So we are in the process of implementing the decisions, not of Pope Francis, it is the decision of the whole church that we need to be a welcoming church, a church where everyone's gifts and talents are embraced with the same generosity, kindness, and consideration, a church of co-responsibility, a church of solidarity, and a church of synodality. That is a listening church. So those decisions are already being implemented, and there are 10 study groups that Pope Francis set up to implement and deepen the understanding of some of the decisions made. And one of the last acts of Pope Francis, even from the hospital, was to sign off that these decisions and the process of implementing the synodal decisions should now begin. It was to start in May. My hope is that the next Pope, just like Cardinal Parolin, who presided over the Mass yesterday at the Vatican, the second day of Novena Masses for Pope Francis, said the momentum started by Pope Francis should be continued, because the only way we can honor the legacy of a prophet, that is someone who saw tomorrow, is not simply to praise him or to cry at his funeral or at his death, but to do what the disciples of Jesus did, to run even farther than the master, who worked only for 3 years, and his followers have been working for 2,000 years. So Pope Francis had made his own contribution to the church. We will take the good things from it. We will take the lessons from it, especially articulated in the synodal document. And then hopefully the new Pope already has, if you like, a vademecum that can serve as a good manifesto and a roadmap for the future of Catholicism and the world.
Understand. Thank you for your time. And I know how passionate you've been about the work you and your colleagues have done with the Pope, and I know how sad this period is for you. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that people like you will continue to write and then to look for that silent majority in the church.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And joining me now is the past district Rotaract representative, Alan Ntambi. Alan is in Nigeria for some Rotaract work. Alan, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
How was your trip?
My trip was fantastic. It's been a couple of learning and good experiences in Nigeria.
So why are you in Nigeria?
I am here in Nigeria. One, I came to attend, I was invited to attend the the National Rotaract Conference. Nigeria has 6 districts, Rotary districts. Actually, it's the only country with such number of districts in Africa. And I was interested to come and see what the young people are doing down here in Nigeria, but also share with them best practices on how best we can grow ourselves as young people while we transform our communities.
Well, Rotaract spans more than 180 countries and territories.
Yeah.
From your leadership experience, what do you believe unites young leaders globally, and what unites them even beyond the cultural, the political, and the social differences? What is that magic binding factor that holds young people together to serve?
Now, what brings us together is the common goal, the service to humanity. The fact that we come together and we forget our religious affiliations. We forget our political affiliations. We forget our own needs, but look out to the greater good to build the communities that we live in. Because I want to say some of us, most of us young people that are in Rotaract are privileged to be where we are. But then what worries us is the communities we live in. If we do not sustain them, if we do not help them catch up, get closer to where we are, then we are equally in a danger. And it's what every other person out there needs to be looking out. Because yes, you will hide in your fence and you have the security at your gate. But what about when you walk out of your gate on the streets?
What happens to you?
What happens to you? Yes, you're looking good. You're taking care of your own children. You're taking them to good schools. That's perfect, thank you. But guess what? Your daughter, your son, is going to meet that other person, young person, who has not been brought up well, who has been brought up in a very hard life. And they are bringing you such a person as your daughter-in-law, as your son-in-law, not cultured, not given the opportunity you gave your children. Eventually, it is catching up with you. So
somehow it will rub off on you.
Definitely. Now, Rotaract gives us an opportunity to address that.
Okay, let me talk about you. You're a young person.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering why you had to travel all the way, thousands of miles, doing Rotary and Rotaract work. What is inspiration? What drives you?
I have grown up as a young man. At a certain point, I have also been in need. I remember I was almost dropping out of school. My father is a retired army officer in Uganda. And then at one point, he could not pay for my school fees. But I'd associated with Rotary as an Interact. I know Rotary has several levels. The Interact Club for young people in high school, the Rotaract Club for young people, young professionals and tertiary institutions, then Rotary. So I'd associated with Rotary as a young person. Then I knew if I dare drop out of school, then I'll not have an opportunity. There will not be space for me in the Rotary fraternity. But getting the opportunity then to get better, then I thought I also need to help other people see things the way I see them, making them get better. For example, I was in Ghana last week. I am here in Nigeria, but also I have a job. I'm employed somewhere. So what inspires me is seeing other young people every day get better, other young people transforming themselves. And you know, we keep telling young people, our elders keep telling us that young people are the future of tomorrow, are tomorrow's leaders, are the future's leaders. Maybe I should pose a question here. When is the future? And where is it? Because yesterday we addressed today as tomorrow, right? And then tomorrow, and then we can say tomorrow. And certainly we just have a few minutes to tomorrow, which will now become the today. So that's what inspires me. Telling the young people that, now there's nothing like the future. It's not there. The future is now. And if we are the leaders of the future, that means we are the leaders of today. So let's start now to make the world we want to see.
That leads me to asking, are the young people ready to lead today and lead tomorrow? I mean, we see a lot of slacking on the part of young people. Mm-hmm. Drugs, cults, mm-hmm. alcoholism, prostitution, and this, what some people have called generational selfishness. Are they really ready to lead today and lead tomorrow?
I would say readiness is relative. But also readiness is not a one-day thing. You need to have a starting point. Where is the starting point? And the starting point is now. It's now, everywhere, wherever you are. It's now. There is never going to be a readiness or you being ready unless you start now. If you cannot speak to people, if you cannot stand in the crowd and say a word, we are saying start now. How do you say good morning or good evening to your parent? How do you say hi guys? How do you mobilize your friends to do something? And that's what inspires me. That's why I'm in Nigeria. Nigeria's GDP, last I checked, was at $358 billion. Where I come from, our GDP is just $48 billion in Uganda. But when I look at the Rotary and Rotaract in Uganda, I want to believe there is something my Nigerian friends and family can learn from Uganda. Mm-hmm. And that's why I came to touch base with them, telling them that, what, we can do this. And I'm telling them it's just a matter of looking at priorities. What are your life's priorities? What is it that you want to see? And after knowing what you want to see, or even what you want to know, then the how becomes easier. But when you know the what and understand why you need to do it, then answering the how becomes easy, because you have now you know what you want to do, and then you're convicted by the why. If I don't do this, this is what will come. So that answers your why. So young people in drugs, yes, they are there. And maybe I want to go back to our leaders. Mm-hmm. And when I say our leaders, I go back to our parents. I go back to our leaders at where we work from. I go back to our teachers. The mentorship we get. The unfortunate bit of it is that many people has classified mentorship as me sitting in front of you and you speak to me. And I want us to have a different dimension looking at mentorship for young people. And this is my appeal to our elders. Please, let's look at mentorship differently now. What you want us to become, please do that. Let's just watch you do it.
Leading by example.
Lead by example. Please don't tell us to do it. You want us to dress well, decently, dress decently. You want us to be, not to be corrupt people, don't be corrupt. You don't want us to lie, don't lie, because certainly we know when you're lying. And that way, Africa will be secured.
Ntambi, is that not what they call buck passing? You know, I'm talking about the challenges that a lot of young people are having, and probably what people of your generation are doing to make that better. And you're pushing the buck to parents and the older ones.
I am actually not pushing it. The Africans,
because
where I come from,
the implication of what you're saying is that we are not leading by example.
Where I come from, we have a saying. We have a saying that the old bird teaches the young bird how to fly. Even I am a father. Most of the things I see my young daughter doing at home, I clearly see it is a replica of either my behavior or the mother's behavior. Because she learns firsthand by seeing, by observing.
Okay. How about those that are already caught in the web? Maybe some people around them have not led by example, have not set the right, put them on the right track, had not shown them the right way, and they are caught in the web. Let's talk about the kind of work Rotary will do in those directions.
And that's why some of us are here. That's why we have the 4,500 Rotaractors in Nigeria, in the 6 districts. And they are coming to the communities, to the fellow young people, to tell them that, look, I am here, I am your age, I am your age mate. I am not using the drugs and I'm surviving. I am comfortably okay. Okay? I don't have the much money that you think you should be having right now. But you know what? I wake up every day diligently and go to work. When I'm given work to do at my workplace, I am very responsible to deliver. That's what young people in Rotaract do. The first goal of Rotaract is to develop professional and leadership skills. And the second one is to emphasize respect for the right of others and promote ethical standards. Now, these ethical standards are the examples we portray out to the young people. And I want to tell employers out there, if you want the right person to employ, look into Rotaract. You will be amazed.
That's some PR you're doing.
I mean, look into Rotaract. Be very deliberate. Into Rotaract.
Is it because of the kind of training?
Because of the mentorship.
Ghana from...
Because of the training. And imagine they are doing these kind of works not paid. For example, I led Rotaract in my district as DRR. And one of the things I did most was public image, public relations, marketing the organization. So after my year as a district Rotaract representative, I was invited for a job at one of the universities in Uganda. The professor is a Rotarian and he told me my university is struggling with public image. I told him I have not done PR for an organization. He told me I've seen you doing it and I know you will do it. Now young people have skills that need to be put to use, and that's where young people in Rotaract, you see them going for medical camps. You see them using their skills, teaching. I attended a project in Ghana last week where I saw young people teaching the communities to make shoes, to make money. Where I saw young people teaching young girls how to make sanitary pads. I saw young people teaching the communities how to make liquid soap, empowering them economically. And then I see governments, I don't know in Nigeria, but back home, I see governments spend a lot of money on empowering communities with such skills. Sometimes the money never goes where it's supposed to go. But then these young people are coming in. So our role as young people in Rotaract, and why I think every parent should consider having their children join Rotaract, is the change of mindset, the commitment to do work, being community aware. That's what Rotaract does.
Today's young people are really what we could call people of the digital age. And you know, the world is their forte. You know, they are globally minded.
Yeah.
And you see them very passionate about change. And I'm asking, how is your organization leveraging, you know, on technology, innovation, and collaboration to empower this new generation of young people? How are you doing that?
Now, at Rotaract Africa, when I came into office as president, I realized that we have some lot of untapped potential. We have over 19,000 young people in Rotaract Africa, in 47 African countries. And I was like, what do we use these numbers for? So that they are not just numbers. And then I realized we have so many young professionals. We have those in the tech world like me. I'm a data and software engineer.
Okay.
We have those in the teaching profession. We have those in the medical world, in the all the sectors of life. So, and I'm telling them, how can I be in Uganda and I impact someone in Liberia without going there? And that's where the digital world comes in. We are creating what we call, for example, the Rotaract Africa Leadership Academy. Free of charge.
Is it virtual?
Virtual. It's virtual. Then I reach out to experienced leaders like you. I tell you know what, you do not have to leave Nigeria. Can you give us an hour of a lecture online? And then I'll give you the audience. I'll put together 1,000 young people. You speak to them all over Africa, and you're offering your services to these young people, but you would have impacted the generation in Africa. Digital. We are asking them, come, let's learn some skills. Okay? You have a Facebook page of 5,000 followers. Instead of posting a picture when you're at maybe a food hub somewhere, telling us how you're enjoying chicken, why don't you ask Signature TV to influence for Signature TV? Tell them, you know what, I have 4,000 or 5,000 followers. I'd like to be posting Signature TV's programs on my platform. And then you can get money, because trust me, Signature TV has a budget for public relations. Even what it does most is still offer platforms for businesses to grow, for communities to grow. So you would have widened Signature TV's reach. And that's what we are telling young people. Use these platforms. You have your Instagram. You have 10,000 followers. How are you making money out of it? And this is one of the programs now we are doing with the young people in Africa.
Okay, looking ahead, what bold dreams and innovations do you envision for the Rotaract movement in the next maybe decade, especially as we lead this group in Africa?
Recently, we had a discussion on our forum, having a strategy about Rotaract at 2030. We have over 45,000 Rotarians on the African continent. And then we have the 19,000 young people between the age of 18 to maybe 30 Rotaractors. And these are the future Rotarians. So our dream is to see these young people get into work, get into the job market as professionals, people of integrity, people of goodwill, people that are community aware. And what is this going to do? It's not just a solution for Rotaract. It's a solution for the African continent. You should be knowing about the 4-way tests of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? When I'm trying to do something, is it fair to other people, or is it only fair to me? Will it build goodwill? And if we ask young people, we're asking young people to lead their life reflecting on these principles, so that we can, it's not just about Rotaract, but have a continent, have communities that are not selfish. It's not just about them, but it's also about the others. That way we are building a community of people of integrity that are going to run our continent.
Alan Ntambi, that's a beautiful way to end our conversation. And I must thank you for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
But before I let you go, tonight, your presence here has reminded us that real leadership is born not from power, but from service and vision. Across every border, young leaders are building the future with courage, hope, and unity. As the world mourns the passing of His Holiness the Pope, and as the conclave prepares to choose the next spiritual guide, we are reminded that the call for compassionate, borderless leadership is greater than ever. May we rise to the challenge, and may hope continue to light our way forward. Let's keep believing in the power of service and the dream of our united world. I won't let you go until I leave you with this.
Oh. Thank you.
And that's our program for tonight. I'm Vin Martin Obiora Ilu from ENUGU in Nigeria. Thanking you for watching and asking you that we have to do this again tomorrow night at 11 p.m.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you. And thank you for supporting the young people. I'm informed and told of your great service.
Artificial intelligence actually help us to inbuild a program, either a program, a project in form of technology that will help us achieve success, become more efficient in any of our operation, whether in farm, because I noticed there's a kind of an AI instrument that I noticed, I watched in a video where you see that AI is being used in collaboration with technology, solar technology, to scare off animals that normally attack the farm. You know, it will blow bugle, make different sound, you know, even release a gunshot sound. And but these are not real gunshots. But when maybe a monkey or that attack maize, that harvest maize and all that, came to that very farm, you will censor that very monkey and begin to make those or birds are perching on the crops. So it will sense them and begin to make those sound, and they will scare them away and they will never come to those farms. It's also is goes a way to show that AI and technology is a hallmark of our development. It's very going to enhance our development. But the only caution is that we need as well to protect the human race, protect the human privacy, protect, while we are implementing the AI and technology in any spheres of life. So if we must grow, we must go with technology, we must go with AI. That's the current thing about it.
Artificial intelligence, it's come to stay, right? Whether you like it or not, it's really helping drive a lot of sectors, technology, medicine, agriculture, and all that. So it's something that has come to stay. And the only reservation that we have about it is that it's going to take a lot of valid jobs from humans, right? And I think that's the only concern. But you wouldn't compare the benefits, right? Because globally, AI drives the economy. It drives virtually everything that we do, and so a win. It's a global win.
Yeah, when I was in school, sourcing was not in our own tongue. So we don't have it, anything like AI, we don't have it there. We use books, we go to library, you make research. So then there's nothing like AI. You have negative balance in some individuals because sometimes students, especially students, they don't really think again. They just type in whatever they want to get. They just get the answer without stressing their brain. So for me, AI is not good for these recent children.
AI is good. It will make you not to be going around, going to library, searching for, as in looking for research. Immediately you open your phone, you will see everything. So for me, it's okay. I'm in secondary school. Anytime they told you to research for any subject, you'll be going around looking for where to get it. But now you open your phone and everything will be open. So I'm happy. It's good for me.
Actually, I've not used AI before, but according to people that are using it, they say it's good for them, for students. But from my own perspective, I would say AI is making the students to be lazy because they think that that is the easy way of as in of researching questions, some question in internet. But for me, it's making them to be lazy instead of them cracking their brain, thinking, as in making their brain to work. They will find the easier way, which is the AI, to answer the question for them, which is not good.
curbing such thing, you will be talking about curbing the disaster effect, and that will be early warning. That so thing will happen. So we need to evacuate so person from so place. Now, we now want to talk about let this thing not happen again. There are so many things associated with it. But there is one occasion by global warming when you have sunlight. I don't want to define that because I'm a deputy director of climate change department. So when you talk about that, we have to start adapting and mitigation. You've been hearing about climate change. Yes. Do you understand? And it's not a year thing because it's a global issue. Suffice to say, this is my own word, that the earth don't need you to survive. We need the earth to survive.
Very true.
Whether you are here or not, the earth will survive on its own. If you check tectonic plate tectonic, find that it breathes. All these earthquakes, all these volcanic eruptions, they are natural occurrences, and that's how the earth breathes. That's how it forms. So most of the problems you see us suffering on this earth are caused by us.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I'm Charles Boyd. Headlines. The federal government approves new policy to lower prices of drugs in the country. Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to resume oil drilling in the northern part of the country. Chinese Foreign Minister meets Latin American delegate ahead of China CELAC Forum, and Ancelotti to lead Brazil team after Real Madrid tenure ends. Details shortly.
With a population of about 36 million people, The Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges. Completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
The federal government has approved a new policy known as Medipool, which would lower the cost of drugs and other medical consumables for Nigerians. This was part of the decisions reached at the Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by President Bola Tinubu at the State House, Abuja. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, who disclosed this to newsmen and said Medipool is a group purchasing organization for competitive pricing and to be a supplier of essential medicines and healthcare products across Nigeria. Pate said Medipool was developed to consolidate the demand from basic healthcare centers and federal tertiary hospitals to enable the government to leverage bulk purchasing power to lower medical costs. He emphasized that the administration aims to support local manufacturing, promote import substitution, and ensure Nigerians have access to high-quality, affordable medicines. The Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, John Eno, says the economic value of implementing the Nigerian First policy is about 3 trillion naira annually. Briefing State House correspondents shortly after the Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House Abuja, Eno said the policy would also contribute about 20% of the growth of the manufacturing sector in Nigeria in the next 3 years. He further explained that over 500,000 jobs would be created through the policy in the short term and leads to a reduction of about 30% of imports. Also speaking on the outcome of the FEC meeting, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said the Council directed the Bureau of Public Procurement to communicate the new threshold for procurement of goods and services. Idris said FEC also noted that the need for the private sector players to participate more actively in Nigeria's economic growth and directed ministries, departments and agencies to deepen their collaboration with the private sector, especially in terms of infrastructural development. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, says the 10th Assembly has been very proactive and productive since its inauguration almost 2 years ago. Speaker Abbas made the assertion in Abuja at the inaugural policy dialogue on the legislative agenda of the House, which had top government officials and organizations at the federal and state levels in this attendance. The Speaker said the dialogue is a clear demonstration of shared efforts to promote parliamentary accountability, transparency, and a truly citizen-driven legislature. He said the goal of the event is not only to celebrate the achievements of the House, but also to examine areas for improvement in the spirit of openness and democratic inclusion as the House marks the midpoint of its tenure and reflects on its journey so far. The agenda, according to him, encompasses 8 broad priority areas that address Nigeria's diverse needs, including strengthening good governance, enhancing national security, revitalizing the economy, reforming the laws, and promoting social development. The event was organized by the Office of the Speaker in conjunction with the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, the National Assembly Library Trust Fund, and the UK International Development. Meanwhile, the Speaker has challenged the executive arm of government to ensure the implementation of laws, other interventions made by the Parliament in overall interest of the country. Speaking at the inaugural National Policy Dialogue on the legislative agenda in Abuja, Abbas noted that the House has conducted robust oversight of the executive over the past 2 years, investigating economic reforms and national security efforts.
Recognize that passing laws is not enough. We must also ensure that they are implemented and implemented faithfully. And the government actions are almost always subject to scrutiny. In the past 2 years, the House has engaged in robust oversight of the executive branch, holding ministries, departments, and agencies accountable to foster accountability and transparency in governance.
The Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, revealed that over 1,059 bills have been presented by the House for implementation.
And House has become a legislative powerhouse since June. And House has become a legislative powerhouse since June 13, 2023. The House has considered over 1,059 bills spanning every facet of national life, from constitutional amendments to sector-specific reforms in education, in health, and security, as well as the economy.
The chairman of the House Committee on Monitoring and Evaluation of Implementation of the Legislative Agenda, Cyril Godwin, highlighted the importance of integrating inputs from stakeholders into the 8-point legislative agenda of the Green Chamber.
The legislative agenda of the 10th House surely green flags the House of Representatives as the Green Chambers, as the House of the People, or the People's House, the beacon and the bastion of our democracy, as it heralds a new era of purposeful alignment with global parliamentary best practices benchmarked by the key indicators of strategic focus.
Security remains a paramount concern for every Nigerian. It is not enough to merely condemn acts of terrorism, banditry, kidnappings, and communal violence each time they occur. As legislators, we must enact laws and support proactive, intelligence-driven security measures, strengthen the capacity of our security agencies, and promote community-based policing.
The Minister of Labour, Mohammed Dingyadi, urged the House to pass pending labour bills for the benefit of Nigerian workers and growth of the economy.
It is in this regard that I make a passionate plea to the House of Representatives to partner with the Ministry to facilitate the speedy passage of the national labor laws, which will be brought before the House in a short time to come. These bills include Labor Standard Bill, Collective Labor Relations Bill, Occupational Safety and Health Bill, Labor Institutions Bill, the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund Act 2010 to align with the Employers' Compensation Act, the National Directorate of Employment Act 2004, the National Productivity Act, and the Michael Omodu National Institute for Labor and Studies.
But the challenge has always been the implementation. Whether you're talking about allocation of resources and then intervention from some other arms of government. I remember one of the cardinal points we had in the 8th Assembly legislative agenda was the issue of the sectoral debates. And we started it was going on very well. And then I had a call. Mr. Speaker, my ministers are complaining that you have prevented them from working. And it was just for a minister to show for just 30, 40 minutes, present in areas that we thought were very, very critical to the national economy, because then we were talking about diversification of our revenue sources.
The event also featured goodwill messages from various stakeholders and development partners. The ENUGU state government has officially launched a high-level steering committee aimed at eradicating gender-based violence across the state, declaring a policy of zero tolerance towards the issue. The inauguration ceremony, which took place at the government house ENUGU, was performed by the secretary to the state government, Professor Chidebere Onya, on behalf of the governor, Peter Mba. Governor Mba said his administration remains committed to prosecuting offenders and implementing preventive measures to combat such violence, safeguard all citizens irrespective of their gender. Commissioner for Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development, Ngozi Eni, who chairs the newly inaugurated committee, noted that the policy reflects the unique realities and challenges within local communities and assured that the committee will deliver on its mandate. The committee comprises representatives of key government institutions, including the Nigerian Police Force, Ministry of Agriculture and Agro-Industrialization, Local Government, Rural Development and Chieftaincy Affairs, Human Development and Poverty Reduction, Trade, Investment and Industry, Justice, Health and Education, as well as civil society organization. The federal government has supplied vital equipment and components for two 132 33 kV substations and associated transmission lines to Ekiti State. In a statement issued in Ado-Ekiti on Monday, the Ekiti State Commissioner for Infrastructure and Public Utilities, Professor Bolaji Aluko, who confirmed the delivery, stated that the substations will be sited in Ilupeju Ekiti and Ijesha Isu Ekiti, with a switching station at Ikire Ekiti. Aluko commended both the federal government and Governor Biodun Oyebanji for accelerating the substation project, which he said would add a total of 240 MVA, comprising 460 MVA transformers to the existing 140 MVA capacity at the Omisanjana substation in Ado-Ekiti. He assured that the project is expected to be completed before the end of the year. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, has called on contractors building or handling various projects across the territory to maintain high standards. Wike made the call during the inspection of the ongoing project in Abuja ahead of their planned inauguration to mark President Bola Tinubu's second year in office. Among the projects inspected was the 16-kilometer inner northern expressway from Idu to Dei and the construction site of the Jahi interchange, which will link Wole Soyinka Way to Murtala Mohammed Expressway. The minister expressed satisfaction with the progress and quality of work, commending the contractors for working round the clock to meet deadlines. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has selected Professor Chris Piwuna, a consultant psychiatrist and Dean of Students Affairs at the University of Jos, as its new national president. Professor Piwuna succeeds Professor Victor Osodeke, a professor of soil science at the Michael Opara University of Agriculture, Omudike, Abia State, who served as the union's president since 2021. The leadership transition was ratified at the 23rd National Delegates Congress of the Union held on Sunday in Benin, Edo State, where members from various branches across the country convened to chart a new course for the academic body. Professor Piwuna, known for his firm advocacy for the welfare of university lecturers and reforms in Nigeria's higher education sector, previously served as ASU's vice president. His emergence comes at a time when the union continues to engage the federal government on issues of funding, staff welfare, and autonomy of public universities. Benue State University, Makurdi, has debunked reports of missing 2 billion naira in the institution, describing the allegations as baseless and misleading. The Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academics, Professor Simon Teva, debunks the report during a chat with journalists in Makurdi following a legal action initiated by the institution's Director of ICT against Henry Ibia over alleged defamation, cyberstalking, and injurious falsehood. Ibia's reports had claimed that the university lost 2 billion naira due to a crashed ICT portal, leading to the purported suspension of the ICT director for investigations. Ibia was detained at the Benue State Police Command on April 25, 2025, before being arraigned in court and remanded at the Makurdi Correctional Center. He acknowledged assistance to fee payments by students, which he attributed to economic hardship and cultural perceptions equating fees with taxation. The chairman of Gwe West Local Government Area in Benue State, Tosa Victor, has ordered a dusk-to-dawn curfew to curb rising insecurity in the area. Victor said in a statement that the curfew, which begins at 6:30 p.m. daily, takes immediate effect and applies to all movement into and out of the local government. The decision comes in the wake of renewed violence in parts of Benue State, particularly following a series of deadly attacks on Friday, May 9, 2025, in the neighboring communities of Ayilamo and Dato Aka. At least 9 people were killed when suspected herdsmen launched coordinated assaults on both villages. In Jatoaka, over 20 armed attackers invaded their area, killing 6 residents and torching several homes. The violence later spread to Ayilamo, where 3 more people, including a livestock guard, were reportedly murdered. The ENUGU State Post-Primary Schools Management Board, PPSMB, commenced monitoring of the Senior School Certificate Examination SSCE to ensure the smooth administration of the examination. Our correspondent, Ugone Owalo, is standing by to give us an update, but I understand that Ugone is not available, and we would reconnect with her hopefully before the news runs out. Up ahead, Governor Alea calls for statewide unity amid security challenges in Benue State. Fubara admonished supporters to eschew confrontation in their agitation. To stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Benue State Governor Hassan Halia is appealing for unity among the people of the state as they face escalating security concerns stemming from persistent attacks by armed headsmen. Governor Halia, who was giving his midterm report at the Township Stadium in Vandekia, described the situation as a critical threat to the very survival of the state, calling for the collective resolve and solidarity in confronting the menace. The Governor Halia, who thanked the federal government for dispatching additional security operatives to bolster peace efforts, urged residents to maintain vigilance and work hand in hand with security forces to defend their communities. Highlighting his administration's achievements in key sectors such as education, healthcare, agriculture, ICT, infrastructure, security, transportation, and human capital development, the governor said that his government has recorded accomplishments surpassing those of previous administrations over nearly a decade in just 2 years. A member of the House of Representatives, Yusuf Gagdi, has claimed that Boko Haram insurgents have seized weapons and military assets worth trillions of naira during attacks on military bases across Nigeria's northeast region. Gagdi made these statements while contributing to a motion moved by Ahmed Satomi from Borno State on the recent fire outbreak at a military arms depot in Giwa Barracks, Maiduguri, and the increasing attacks by Boko Haram in Borno and Yobe states. Gagdi noted that the scale of destruction being inflicted by insurgents on military equipment is unprecedented, warning that the failure to take swift and decisive action could have dire consequences, especially for elected leaders. The National Assembly, he said, had allocated significant funds for the purchase of over 40 combat vehicles and other weapons for the military, amounting to trillions of naira. Fubara gave the advice while speaking at a night of tributes organized by the Rivers Elders Forum in honor of a late statesman, Chief Edwin Clark, held in Port Harcourt. He noted that some of the remarks and actions of his supporters were unnecessary and contrary to his personal principles of pursuing peace in the midst of political crisis in the state. Fubara, who said that he now enjoys peace of mind and appears even healthier since stepping aside, emphasized the importance of drawing inspiration from life and values of Chief Clark, particularly his commitment to justice, peace, unity, selfless service, and statesmanship. The National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives have called on the federal government to prioritize health workforce financing. It also called for the engagement of over 115,000 graduate nurses eager to contribute their skills and expertise to the nation's healthcare system. The president of the association, Haruna Maman, made the remark at an event to commemorate the International Day of the Midwife and the commencement of the 2025 International Nurses Week. Maman said this year's event, with the theme Our Nurses, Our Future, Caring for Nurses, Strengthening Economies, underscored the importance of a healthy nursing workforce. He called for immediate funding and workable solutions to safeguard nurses and midwives from emotional, mental, and physical difficulties. He noted that the nurses must confront issues of negligence and attitudes in patients' care that has so far tarnished the image of the profession. The Central Bank of Nigeria has warned Nigerians against engaging with individuals and groups peddling fictions of fictitious contracts, loans, and financial grants purportedly issued or endorsed by the Apex Bank. In a statement issued by the CBN's Acting Director of Communications, Hakama Sidi Ali, the Apex Bank said its attention had been drawn to the activities of fraudsters falsely claiming to represent or act on behalf of the bank. It warned that the bank does not award contract or disburse funds through unsolicited channels such as emails, phone calls, SMS, WhatsApp, or any social media platform. It also does not request payment of fees in exchange for such benefits, nor does it engage intermediaries or third parties to offer financial services or opportunities to the public. The bank reaffirmed its commitment to safeguarding the financial interest of Nigerians and said it was working closely with security agencies to investigate and curb fraudulent activities. The Group Chief Executive of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Bayo Ojulari, says the company will resume oil drilling in the northern part of the country. Ojulari stated in an interview with BBC News Hausa that the suspended project will be resumed under his leadership. He said that the project will allow previously closed companies to reopen so they can continue operating and bring benefits to the region, which will lead to everyone benefiting from the increased wealth. Former President Muhammadu Buhari had in November 2022 launched a crude oil drilling project in the Kolmani area of the border of Bauchi and Gombe states in the northeast of the country, marking the first time that oil drilling had begun in the north. The NNPC also announced that crude oil drilling in Nasarawa State, located in the north-central part of the country, would commence in March 2023, which is yet to take place. Northerners had expressed joy over the plan by President Buhari to turn the region into an oil-rich zone like the Niger Delta, but the project failed to continue for undisclosed reasons. The administrator of Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Bass, has called for collaboration between security agencies, community stakeholders, and residents to combat various criminal activities in the state. Ibas, who spoke during a town hall security stakeholders meeting held in Opobo town in the Opobo Nkoro local government area, decried the high rate of sea piracy, illegal oil bunkering, and oil vandalism. The sole administrator, who was represented by the Rivers State Commissioner of Police, Olubenga Adepoju, emphasized the need for collective efforts to safeguard critical government assets and infrastructure. He further assured residents that the government would prioritize healthcare, education, road rehabilitation, and other welfare concerns to enhance the living standards in the country. In his address, the administrator of the Opobo Nkoro local government area, Frederick Apafi, highlighted the unique security challenges in the area to include sea piracy and theft of fishing equipment, illegal oil bunkering, and unauthorized vigilante operations. Similarly, meetings were held at Omoko, the headquarters of Omaigbe Mandoni local government area, and Ngo in Andoni local government area. The World Bank has said that Nigeria's economy recorded its fastest growth in about a decade in 2024, driven by a strong fourth quarter and an improved fiscal position. During a presentation on Monday, the bank's lead economist for Nigeria, Alex Sianart, said Nigeria's economy grew by 4.6% year-on-year in the fourth quarter of 2024. Quoting high-frequency business indicators, he said the economy continued to expand in early 2025. The report is biannual in-depth examination of selected economic and policy issues and an analysis of Nigeria's development challenges. Nigeria's annual inflation rate dropped by 23.18% in February 2025, its lowest level since June 2023, from 24.48% in January. Meanwhile, food inflation eased to 23.51%, marking its lowest rate since September 2022, compared to 26.08% in the previous months. The World Bank expects Nigeria's economy to grow by 3.6% this year. Nigerian senators call for stronger collaboration between pension administrators and lawmakers for greater public trust. Business brace up for the higher interest rates and rising inflation. Details of this and more in our business news.
Of the Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service, Senator Oluwole Fasuyi is urging stronger collaboration between pension operators, regulators and lawmakers to restore public confidence in Nigeria's pension system. Speaking at the first ever leadership retreat by the Pension Fund Operators Association of Nigeria, PENOP, in Lagos, Fasuyi highlighted rising dissatisfaction among contributors, many of whom are considering exiting the contributory pension scheme. He said the pension market has far greater potential than the 22 trillion naira currently recorded, but suffers from low public trust and engagement. The senator also stressed that legislative oversight should be seen as a partnership rather than interference, and called on pension fund administrators to prioritize contributor welfare alongside profitability. The federal government of Nigeria has opened its 300 billion naira series VII sovereign sukuk for public subscription, targeting the development of critical road and infrastructure projects across the country. The sukuk, which operates under a non-interest financial model, offers Nigerians a secure and ethical investment option. Subscription is open to individuals, corporates and institutions, with a closing date set for May 17, 2025. Proceeds will be channeled into projects across the 6 geopolitical zones, promoting inclusive development and economic growth. Nigerians and businesses are preparing for tighter financial conditions with expectations of higher interest rates and inflation, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria's April 2025 surveys. About 70% of firms cited high interest rate as a top challenge to operations, while many also foresee elevated borrowing costs and inflation in the months ahead. Despite these pressures, business confidence is rising, especially in agriculture and construction, with firms expressing cautious optimism. However, insecurity, taxes, and power supply remain key concerns. Capacity utilization improved slightly, and hiring plans are expanding in sectors like mining and construction. In a bold statement of intent, Coronation Group has reaffirmed its commitment to Africa's transformation through sustainable investment and strategic leadership. Group CEO Mr. Wole Onasonya announced that Coronation will return as a gold sponsor of the 2025 Africa CEO Forum, which began yesterday, May 12th, and will conclude today in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. Chairman of the group, Mr. Aigboje Imokude, will lead the company's participation and feature in a headline discussion on transitioning Africa family-owned businesses from survival to legacy. Acting CEO of Coronation Merchant Bank, Paul Abiagam, is also billed to speak on strategies to boost Africa's cost of capital crisis. Onasonya emphasized Coronation's vision for inclusive economic growth, describing the company as a prosperity partner committed to delivering transformative financial services. The United States and China have reached a deal to slash tariffs, signaling a possible end to the long-running trade war. After weekend talks in Geneva, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said both sides agreed to a 90-day pause on new measures, cutting tariffs from over 100% to just 10%. The talks mark the first direct engagement between senior economic officials since President Trump returned to office and reimposed steep duties on Chinese goods. China has responded with export curbs and raised tariffs on U.S. imports. The dispute had frozen nearly $600 billion in trade and rattled global markets. But Monday's announcement boosted investor confidence, with Wall Street futures rising and the dollar gaining strength. In international markets, European stocks climbed on Monday after the United States and China announced a breakthrough agreement to slash the reciprocal tariffs, offering a ray of hope amid escalating trade tensions. This comes after years of retaliatory moves that crippled global trade and supply chains. The pan-European Stoxx 600 index jumped by 0.9%, while Germany's DAX hit a record high of 23,911 points. Semiconductor, logistics, and chemical stocks led the rally. Infineon and BASF saw gains of up to 8% and 5%. Shipping giants Maersk and Hapag-Lloyd also surged, gaining over 10% each. However, arms manufacturers dipped following Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's announcement that he's ready to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Turkey later this week. That's business news on Global News. I am Tomsinime Natus.
To come, UN Chief welcomes release of Israeli-American hostage Idan Alexander from Gaza. Mexico opposes U.S. suspension of cattle imports over screw-worm concerns. These is details of these next.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was...
Why the main market is in chaos. People...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
People rejoiced in Israel for the release of Israeli-American hostage Idan Alexander on Monday, but there was still worry for the remaining hostages still held in Hamas captivity in Gaza. In Tel Aviv's Hostages Square, people gathered to watch the news of his release and show support for the remaining hostages. At this grandparents' apartment in the city, his family said they were excited to receive him but will continue to fight for the other hostages.
It's really amazing to see. I'm from the same town as Idan, so being here and being able to be in Israel during this day and experiencing it is really amazing, and seeing the community come together and the Jewish people come together at this time. And I've been here since 12 o'clock. I've been here throughout the day, and seeing everyone come and congregate and celebrate and appreciate the moment is really inspiring and amazing. And as an American, and seeing the last American who is alive come home is really amazing, and I'm so grateful for this experience.
I think it's terrible that there's still hostages in Gaza. We need to bring them home, but we need to celebrate. This hostage has been a hostage for nearly 600 days. We need to celebrate what we can have, and we need to support what we have, and we need to ensure that all the hostages come home. Bring them home.
Alexander was released 19 months after he was taken hostage by Hamas during its deadly raid on southern Israel on October 7, 2023. His release after four-way talks between Hamas, the United States, Egypt and Qatar could open the way to freeing the remaining 58 hostages held in Gaza Strip, with only 20 believed to be alive. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres welcomes the release of Israeli-American hostage Idan Alexander on Monday. Israel's military said it had received Idan Alexander after the International Committee of the Red Cross said it had facilitated his safe transfer from 19 months of captivity to Israeli authorities.
Say that the Secretary General welcomes the release of Idan Alexander, an American-Israeli national who'd been held hostage in Gaza since the 7th of October 2023. The Secretary General is profoundly relieved that Mr. Alexander has been freed and is now returning to his family after this harrowing ordeal. The Secretary General renews his urgent call for an immediate, permanent ceasefire and an immediate and unconditional release of all remaining hostages. Hostages must be treated humanely and with dignity. He calls on all parties to immediately ensure the rapid, the unhindered, and the safe humanitarian relief, including the delivery of critical services for all civilians in need. Aid in Gaza and anywhere around the world is not negotiable.
Alexander was the last American held by Hamas, and Israel's Channel 12 said his condition was low, without citing a source. Al Jazeera television showed a photograph of him standing next to masked fighters and a Red Cross official. Unlike in previous hostage releases, he was wearing civilian clothes. Fighting halted at midday in Gaza after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would pursue or pause its operations to allow safe passage for the hostage release. Hamas said it was freeing Alexander as a goodwill gesture to U.S. President Donald Trump, who is visiting the region this week. The release after four-way talks between Hamas, the United States, Egypt and Qatar could open the way to freeing the remaining 58 hostages held in Gaza Strip 19 months after Hamas' attack on Israel on October 7, 2023. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the public in a recorded statement Monday, saying the return of Israeli hostages Idan Alexander was a very emotional moment. Netanyahu thanks the diplomatic efforts of Trump and stated Israel's military pressure and Trump's political pressure were a winning formula.
This is a very emotional moment. Idan Alexander has returned home. We embrace him and his family. This was achieved thanks to our military pressure and the diplomatic pressure exerted by President Trump. This combination is a winning formula. I spoke today with President Trump. He told me, I am committed to Israel. I am committed to continuing to work in close coordination with you, to achieve all our war objectives, to release all the hostages and to defeat Hamas.
Freed an Israeli-American hostage as fighting paused in Gaza on Monday, but there was no agreement on a wider truce or hostage release as a global hunger monitor warned of famine in the devastated enclave. Fighting stopped at midday in Gaza after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would pause its operations to allow safe passage for the hostage release. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Monday that Russia was continuing its attacks on Ukraine and had made no response to a proposal for direct talks in Turkey this week in a strange silence. Zelensky repeated that U.S. President Donald Trump supported the proposed meeting. Zelensky also said he spoke by phone with newly elected Pope Leo XIV.
This is a very emotional moment. Idan Alexander has returned home. Ukraine has always supported diplomacy. I am ready to be in Turkey. Unfortunately, the world still hasn't received a clear response from Russia regarding numerous proposals for a ceasefire. Russian shelling and assaults continue. Moscow has remained silent all day regarding the proposal for a direct meeting. A very strange silence. Still, Russia will have to end this war, and it would be better to do so sooner. There is no point in continuing the killings. President Erdogan expressed full readiness to host the meeting. It is important that President Trump fully supports the meeting, and we would like him to find the opportunity to be in Turkey. There was also a very good conversation today with the Pope. I began my day with it. Pope Leo XIV spoke warm and very important words about Ukraine, about our people, about a just and lasting peace for our country and the return of our people, most certainly, the return of prisoners and children who were abducted by Russia. I thanked him for his support.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum voiced opposition on Monday to the United States' decision to suspend imports from Mexican cattle, horses, and bison due to the presence of the New World screwworm. She emphasized that Mexico has actively cooperated in efforts to eradicate the pest. The suspension was announced on Sunday by U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, who stated that the ban would apply to imports through the southern U.S. border and would be reviewed on a month-by-month basis. Meanwhile, Mexican Agriculture Minister Julio Verdugo said the restriction is expected to last only 15 days, a timeline President Sheinbaum echoed during her regular press briefing. Last month, U.S. and Mexico reached an agreement on managing the screwworm, a dangerous pest known to infest livestock and wildlife by laying larvae that burrow into living tissue, often causing severe or fatal harm. Despite these efforts, the U.S. deemed the measures insufficient, a claim Sheinbaum rejected. Sheinbaum added that she does not expect the suspension to cause major economic disruption, assuming it remains limited to the proposed 15-day period. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said on Monday that the doors of a new era, especially in politics, would open once the Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK militant group laid down its weapons. Speaking after a cabinet meeting in Ankara, Erdogan said that the decision by the PKK to disband was an important step and that Ankara would follow the process closely to avoid any issues. He added that Turkey viewed the move as one that encompasses members of the group in northern Iraq, Syria, and Europe too. Separately, Erdogan said there was a new window of opportunity to achieve peace between Ukraine and Russia after recent statements by the two countries, adding he hoped this opportunity would not be squandered.
At the stage we have reached, Russia, Ukraine, America and Europe agree that the talks must be held. We mention once again that as the only country to have gained the confidence of all sides, we are ready to contribute to these talks and that we will be glad to host them. With the latest contacts, we see a new window of opportunity has been opened. We believe that, God willing, this time the opportunity that has arisen will not be squandered. The terrorist organization, Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, has announced that it has decided to dissolve itself and hand over the weapons. We see the decision as important in terms of cementing the security of our country, the peace of our region, the everlasting brotherhood of our people. We evaluate this statement by the PKK as a decision that covers all the extensions of the organization, especially in Syria and Europe, along with northern Iraq. With the complete disengagement of terrorism and violence, the doors of a new era in all aspects, especially regarding the strengthening of the democratic capacity of politics, will be opened.
The PKK, which has been locked in deadly conflict with Turkey for more than 4 decades, decided to disband and end its armed struggle on Monday. It is designated a terrorist group by Turkey and its Western allies. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met on Monday with foreign ministers and representatives from 7 Latin American and Caribbean countries visiting Beijing for the 4th China CELAC Forum ministerial meeting set for Tuesday. Wang, also a member of the CPC Central Committee's Political Bureau, had talks with officials from Cuba, Uruguay, Peru, Venezuela, Guyana, Nicaragua, and Colombia, focusing on deepening bilateral ties and promoting regional cooperation. In talks with Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez Pereira, Wang reaffirmed China's long-standing commitment to its friendship with Cuba. With Uruguayan Foreign Minister Mario Lubetsk, he emphasized China's support for multilateralism, free trade, and global peace. During his meeting with Peruvian Foreign Minister Elma Salcedo, Wang highlighted mutual support on core interests and called for further strengthening the comprehensive strategic partnership. Speaking with Venezuelan Foreign Minister Van Gel, Wang called for stronger global South unity and greater outcomes from the forum. In a joint meeting with Nicaraguan officials Loreno Motega and Valdrac Janseca, Wang commended the country's shared resistance to hegemonic power and expressed confidence in the success of the upcoming forum. He also met Colombian Foreign Minister Laura Sarabia, congratulating Colombia on taking over the rotating presidency of the forum and expressing hope for a united and productive meeting. Meanwhile, residents of Muzaffarabad, capital of Pakistan, Minister's Kashmir, carried on with their lives as a fragile ceasefire between Pakistan and India appeared to be holding on Monday. The truce was reached after 4 days of intense exchanges of fire as the old enemies targeted each other's military installations with missiles and drones, killing dozens of civilians. Tensions between India and Pakistan began mounting after the April 22nd attack in Indian Kashmir on Hindu tourists that killed 26 people, sparking the worst clashes between the nuclear-armed neighbors in more than 2 decades. On Saturday, a ceasefire in the Himalayan region was announced by Trump following 4 days of fighting and diplomacy and pressure from Washington. Pakistan's Finance Minister Mohammad Aurazbek said that he can't see any large physical fallout following recent military escalation with India. The comments were made in an interview on Monday. Trade talks with the United States, which had played a key role mediating a ceasefire between the two countries, would likely have progress in short order, and that Pakistan could import more high-quality cotton, more so soya beans, and was also exploring other assets classes, including hydrocarbons. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurazbek said in this online interview. On Monday, U.S. President Donald Trump said the U.S. is ready to help India and Pakistan after a ceasefire agreement, claiming trade was a big reason they stopped fighting. Regarding the India-Pakistan conflict, Aurazbek described it as a short-duration escalation with minimal fiscal impact, stating it can be accommodated within the fiscal space which is available to the government of Pakistan. When questioned about potential increased military spending in the upcoming budget, Aurazbek deferred comments, saying it was premature to discuss specific plans.
We welcome the ceasefire, which has been led by and brokered by President Trump. And therefore, it's been a sort of a short duration escalation. It's good to see things moving towards the norm. So at this point in time, I do not see any large fiscal fallout coming out of it. And if you've seen the stock market rebound today, the big drop that we saw in Friday has been more than well covered in the PSX today. So from my perspective, at this point in time, we don't see it as a major issue and can be very much accommodated within the fiscal space which is available to the government of Pakistan. We'll do whatever is required to be done. Talking about budget, which is still about 3-4 weeks away, would be premature. But whatever we need to do in terms of ensuring that our defense requirements are met will be met.
And that's the news is all. Many thanks for watching. See you next time.
artificial intelligence actually help us to imbue a program, either a program, a project in form of technology that will help us achieve success, become more efficient in any of our operation, whether in farm, because I noticed there's a kind of an AI instrument that I noticed I watched in a video where you see that AI is being used in collaboration with technology, solar technology, to scare off animals that normally attack the farm. You know, it will blow bugle, make different sound, you know, even release a gunshot sound, but these are not real gunshots. But when maybe a monkey or that attack maize, that harvest maize and all that came to that very farm, you will censor that very monkey and begin to make those or birds are perching on the crops, so it will sense them and begin to make those sound, and they will scare them away and they will never come to those farms. It's also goes away to show that AI and technology is a hallmark of our development. It's very going to enhance our development, but the only caution is that we need as well to protect the human race, protect the human privacy, protect, while we are implementing the AI and technology in any spheres of life. So if we must grow, we must go with technology, we must go with AI. That's the current thing about it.
Artificial intelligence, it's come to stay, right? Whether you like it or not, it's really helping drive a lot of sectors, technology, medicine, agriculture, and all that. So it's something that has come to stay. And the only reservation that we have about it is that it's going to take a lot of valid jobs from humans, right? And I think that's the only concern. But you wouldn't compare the benefits, right? Because globally, AI drives the economy. It drives virtually everything that we do, and so it's a win. It's a global win.
Yeah, when I was in school, such thing was not in our own tongue. So we don't have it, anything like AI, we don't have it there. We use books, we go to library, we make research. So then there's nothing like AI. You have negative balance in some individuals, because sometimes students, especially students, they don't really think again. They just type in whatever they want to get. They just get the answer without stressing their brain. So for me, AI is not good for these recent children.
AI is good. It will make you not to be going around, going to library, searching for, as in looking for research. Immediately you open your phone, you will see everything. So for me, it's okay. I'm in secondary school. Anytime they told you to research for any subject, you'll be going around looking for where to get it. But now you open your phone and everything will be open. So I'm happy. It's good for me.
Actually, I've not used AI before, but according to people that are using it, they say it's good for them, for students. But from my own perspective, I would say AI is making the students to be lazy, because they think that is the easy way of of researching questions, some question in internet. But for me, it's making them to be lazy. Instead of them cracking their brain, thinking, as in making their brain to work, they will find the easier way, which is the AI, to answer the question for them, which is not good.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode and edition of E-Vibes, the entertainment show on Signature TV. And I'm your baby girl, Queenette Smokonta. We have a whole lot of stories today, interesting stories for that matter. And of course, today, like I promised, I will be giving you some fashion reviews and we'll be rating it together. Fashions that took place and you know, wowed us on social media from the AMVCA award. So let's delve into the stories of the day. Cassie is ready to take the witness stand in Didi's sex trafficking trial, and it sounds like it may be happening as soon as Tuesday based on what her lawyer is saying. Cassie's attorney, Douglas Wigdon, who was outside the federal courthouse where Didi's trial is going down, said she will be testifying in very short order. Cassie's name was brought up several times during opening arguments and the first day of witness testimony, including when prosecutors claimed Didi made a male sex worker urinate in her mouth during a freakout. She was forced to attend. Her lawyer says she's brave and courageous for taking the stand and telling her story. Cassie is pregnant and far along in her pregnancy, and her husband Alex Fine was in court Monday. The first day of testimony featured a hotel security guard talking about the Cassie beating video and a male sex worker talking about it, but Cassie is the star witness and she's expected to have the most important testimony. Now let's not forget, I promised to be giving updates on what's going on concerning Didi's case, because this month will determine his fate. You know, now Cassie, who is the #1 victim, who is Didi's ex-girlfriend, volunteered to come up and give her own testament, give her own statement, speak her own, you know, case, and try to get it all right. And looking from the story which I just read, it is obvious that she literally went through a lot. And Cassie has been that victim that is ready to come out and speak. She's not scared of nothing. She's not that kind of victim that will come out, write a statement, submit it, and maybe go travel off town like victim #3 did. So Cassie is expected to give her own statement today. You know, I would review that tomorrow concerning what she said and, you know, what would be his judgment concerning that particular victim, which is Cassie. Now, mind you, she is now in a good and in a recent a baby for her boyfriend, and we hope that this does not in any way affect their relationship or affect her emotionally or psychologically, you know. And her security too is very, very important, because you can never tell, you know, it's not easy for someone to summon courage and come to court to testify against somebody in the case of sex trafficking, racketeering, and the rest of it. So let's move forward. Denise B. Dot, the girlfriend of popular American rapper Lil Wayne, has accused him of physical abuse. The 38-year-old model made the allegation in an Instagram post on Sunday, expressing her frustration with Lil Wayne. She claimed that the singer dumped her on Mother's Day via text message. She said, and I quote, "Breaking up with someone on Mother's Day is diabolical. Prayers up though. God always pulls me through, walking with faith. Wayne literally kicked me out and my daughter out on Mother's Day. I'm just recovering from surgery. I'm 5 weeks out from a home mommy makeover. I can't even lift my boxes, but this man has his assistant coming to help kick us out and break up with me through text message." Now, Bidel further requested lawyer recommendation from her followers. You know, this statement was actually posted on Sunday. She made this statement on Sunday via her social media. But the truth is, yes, he threw you out of the house and broke up with you via text message, which is very petty for me. Why didn't you break up with her physically? But nonetheless, there must be a reason why he is breaking up with you on a Mother's Day. We know that Mother's Day is a very significant day for mothers, especially for mothers that have children. But breaking up with her through text message and throwing her out through his assistant out of the house. Don't forget that she is just recovering from surgery. She's just 5 days gone recovering from surgery. So the question is, what could be the reason why Wayne threw her out of the house and broke up with her? He did not see any other day apart from Mother's Day to break up with her. I'm very interested in this particular story. Honestly, I'm definitely going to bring it up for you. Trust me with gist and gossips. Because in as much as how heartbreaking and breaking this is, it is something that needs to be looked into. Because even if you want to break up with somebody, you can wait. What does it happen on Sunday? You could have waited on Monday and you do it. Or you come face to face and tell her, I'm no longer interested in this, I'm done. You and your child leave my house. Then if she refused to, you can now throw her out of the house with the child. But first of all, in fact, the first wrong impression, and we know how women can be so emotional, and you know, taking mothers is very significant in their life. You broke up with her through text message. Offense number 2. Offense number 3. I'm actually speaking from a woman's perspective. Your comment is needed if I'm wrong. Offense number 3. You threw her out not by yourself. You threw her out with your assistant. It's more like you're calling the assistant on phone and you're like, throw that woman with her child out of my house. Offense number 4. She is just coming back from the hospital and she is just recovering from a surgery. You know, one would say this is an act of wickedness, but let's not conclude until we get to the bottom of this. There should be a reason why he did all of this. It can't just happen like that because he's not a crazy person. Forward. Tory a dozen times all over his body, with the rapper suffering collapsed lungs. Tory team says he was stabbed 14 times, including 7 times in his back, 4 times in his torso, twice the back of the head, and once in the left side of his face. Both of his lungs collapsed, and Tory was placed on a breathing apparatus, though he is now breathing on his own according to his camp. Now, Tory's rep says he is in pain, but is talking normally, in good spirit, and deeply thankful to God for surviving. And he's thanking everyone out there who is supporting him. Tory's attorney said Tory is upbeat. He is a good spirit. He's recovering. He is